Hi, this is Dr. Burton, and welcome to my channel. If you're new, I haven't made a video in quite some time, and today I wanted to tell you what's been going on since I last made a video. It's been kind of a wild ride. So many of you know that on my YouTube channel, I attribute a lot of what I do to learning from my former professor and mentor and pastor, Dr. Surrendra Gangadin. Well, in February 12th, to be exact, he passed away. He went to be with the Lord. And it was very difficult on all of us. But he left me as curator of all his books and papers. And so I spent the summer with friends going through those papers, boxes and boxes of handwritten notes and boxes of audio recordings. We calculated that he's done about 1,000 sermons and he's taught many classes. So we have a lot of material that we are combing through. And from that material, we will be publishing some of his works. I'm talking to you today primarily because his first book that was published in 2008 was Philosophical Foundation, a critical analysis of basic beliefs. You can see my copy is well worn and loved. Well, we had in the works before he passed away a second edition, and that second edition is available as of today. And so here's the second edition. You can see I still have to work it in, have to use it, read it, teach it. So it is available today. I'll leave a link to the Amazon page where you can purchase it, and I highly recommend you purchase it. So that's one of the publications we have been working on. The other one, and this is one I'm super excited to tell you about, is called History of Philosophy, the Critical Analysis of Unresolved Disputes. Now, Dr. Gangadin and I had been talking together about adding it to this book, but you can see how fat this one is already. So I suggested to him that there was enough material in the History of Philosophy book to make a second book. Well, I was his research assistant the years he wrote that. It was 1997 and 1998. It was a sabbatical project that he wrote when he was working at the college. And I had a section of it. It was all the history of philosophy part. There were about 10 to 12 philosophers he went through. But when I found the box with his sabbatical work in it, he had written about a year's worth of notes about the History of Philosophy book, what he had intended. He left a very clear outline. And so I spent much of the summer putting those notes together as the first, second, and third part of the History of Philosophy book. The fourth part we already had. So that book is now in typesetting, and we're going to give it another look probably over the next month to make sure there aren't any errors in it. It's going to look beautiful. It's going to match this book in style, different color, and it will be a companion volume. So I'm expecting that book to be ready by November 1st, hoping. I sure will let you know when it comes out, as soon as it comes out. And then the third piece that I am working on putting together is his monumental work, Theological Foundation, a critical analysis of Christian belief. Now I have all the parts. It's taken me a while. I found many handwritten outlines, many handwritten pieces to Theological Foundation. And this is something Dr. Gangadin had been working on for probably the past, 10 years, but really it's been a lifelong project. So I've got the whole work put together. Now it's a lot of editing, and the editing is some of these pieces to this book were from sermon series, from classes he taught. So I have to edit it from a spoken word to written word, and that takes some time. So I'm hoping Theological Foundation will be ready within the next year. It could be sooner. Depends on how much time I have to work on it. So that is going to be very exciting. And these three pieces together are companion pieces, and they are laying a foundation for philosophy and theology and for the biblical worldview. So these are very important foundational pieces, and I hope to, as they come out, go over them in my videos. We have many more publications coming. We have some study guides for the Westminster Standards, the Confession, the Larger Catechism, the Shorter Catechism study guides. We have a publication coming out with the Logos Papers and a lot of sermon series. So we are going to be busy for the next 10, 20 years. Who knows how long it's going to take. So that's one of the things I've been doing this summer, is just compiling the writings that Dr. Gangadin left for us and that we hope to publish and share with the world. Another thing he left for us were many organizations that he started. So when he passed away, I was voted in as the president of the Logos Foundation. He was the president, and so now I'm the president, and I've been spending the months figuring out what does that actually mean. The Logos Foundation is an LLC, and it had subsidiary organizations under it. We are now moving it from an LLC to a nonprofit corporation so that we can take donations from outside of its original church-related ministry. So it will be set up to receive donations. If you're thinking about how can I help further this work, I will give you more information about that as we get more established. What is under the Logos Foundation, though? We have a K through 12 school called Logos Preparatory Academy. It is going, it is thriving. We have a curriculum. It's a worldview-based great books curriculum. We're teaching from that right now. We have a college, Logos College of Liberal Arts. You may have heard me talk about it on my YouTube channel. That college has 5 courses that are currently offered online. I'll leave a link to the college below, and we hope to add more courses soon. I have to get in front of this camera and make those courses. So yeah, let's hope I have time to do that and all the publishing. We have the Logos Theological Seminary that has been going on for many, many years. We continue to grow the seminary, and courses are going to be available online soon. For those who qualify, you have to have a bachelor's degree, take the 6 core courses from Logos College of Liberal Arts, and then you can take courses with the seminary if you show promise that you're going to continue with the teaching that has been passed on to you. And then we have the Logos Study Center, where we will be offering extended study times. If you're familiar with Francis Schaeffer's L'Abri, it's that kind of model where you go and you live there and study for a few weeks. It's like a retreat study center. And then we have the Logos Papers Press, which is the publishing arm of the Logos Foundation. And that's where we'll be publishing the majority of Dr. Gangadin's works. 2 of the books are with the Public Philosophy Press, because we arranged to publish those for use in the academy, whereas the books that are published for Logos Papers Press are for the church to use. So we're distinguishing between the academy and the church. And then there's the Logos Papers, which you may be familiar with, the Logos Papers website, thelogospapers.com. So that's what falls under the Logos Foundation, what we have been working on, what we've been consolidating and expanding this summer. Really, it's been the past 7 months. There has been a lot that has taken place. So I haven't been in front of the camera, but I have been doing a lot. So about Philosophical Foundation, the 2nd edition. I started a marketing blitz this morning, and I already got questions from people. What's different about PF2? Why are these 2 books different? How are they different? Why should I buy the new version when I have this old loved version? Well, the text is pretty much the same. I'll tell you that. The content has not changed. But what has changed is that in Philosophical Foundation 2nd edition, There's a new author's introduction. Dr. Gangadin wrote a new introduction before he passed. We have very beautiful square of opposition graphics. So some people really wanted to see the square of opposition and see the steps as we go through the square. I'll just show you the first. Here you can see the square of opposition, some very nice graphics. And with each position that's ruled out, the square has a line through the position that's no longer logically possible. So that's one of the pieces that's new. It has footnotes instead of endnotes. Everyone's happy about this. And I heard from one person that they never read the footnotes because they were all the way at the back and he had this flip to the back. So the footnotes might be brand new to you if you've never read the endnotes. We have 2 new appendices in this book. I'll tell you what they are. The first appendix is presupposition of philosophical foundation, common ground, and the principle of clarity. So the opening lines of the book are, some things are clear, the basic things are clear, the basic things about God and man and good and evil are clear to reason. And some people automatically say, prove it. Okay, so the first appendix is proving it. So if you want arguments for the opening lines, that's appendix 1. Appendix 2 is a response to critics of clarity. Common ground applied to avoid meaningless disputes. So over the years since the publication of the first PF, there have been people who have raised objections. Originally, Dr. Gangadin had 52 objections written down, but we couldn't find the responses to all of them. And we didn't want to just make them up. So we kept his own words and we ended up with, I believe, 45 responses. Let me check to be sure. I don't want to lie to you. Sorry, there's 40 responses. And we have a few new glossary entries in the book. And it's typeset very, very well. It's a beautiful book. The original had a lot of, extra points, extra lines. It just wasn't easy to read. It wasn't pleasing on the eye. So the new version, the typesetting is really beautiful. And it assists the reader in many ways. So if you've never read this book, if you're new to this book, if you're my student and you've taken my classes, most of what I teach is based upon what I learned from Mr. Gangadin that became this book. I was teaching it before it became the book, but once it was in the book, I'm still teaching it. So what does this book achieve? How is this book a unique contribution to the field of philosophy? I think it's groundbreaking. I think it's a required read for anyone who's interested in philosophy, anyone who's interested in the foundation for culture, anyone who's interested in natural theology, general revelation. This book is for you. It is the most relevant book I've read ever. And I've read a lot of books. I mean, this is just a little tiny bit of my library. So one of the things it does, and this is in epistemology, so the 3 areas of philosophy, epistemology, metaphysics, ethics. In epistemology, Dr. Gangadin directly addresses the problems of our day that are epistemological in terms of skepticism, nobody can really know, and fideism, nobody can really know, but you have to believe anyway. So the first section is addressing our contemporary skepticism and fideism. And he overcomes these challenges in their many, many forms through the principle of clarity by affirming some things are clear to reason and thus some things are easily knowable. And from there, we go from more basic things that are knowable step by step to less basic things that are also knowable, but not without the prior steps. So he has the presuppositional method for attaining knowledge, step by step. It's a method for dealing with more basic questions prior to less basic questions. So those are some of the big things that happen in epistemology. He looks at all of the logical possibilities for attempting knowledge, and he shows that really the principle of clarity and rational presuppositionalism is the way we're going to get knowledge today or any day. Dr. Gangadin lays out the logical options in metaphysics, what is real, what is ultimate reality like in this book. He deals with the logical options of material monism, all that exists is matter and matter is eternal. Spiritual monism, all that exists is spirit and spirit is eternal. Dualism, matter and spirit are co-eternal. Those are all views of all is eternal. And on the square of opposition, the opposite is some is eternal or only some is eternal. And so he's going to show that all is eternal. Each position runs into logical contradictions. They aren't existentially, they're not logically possible, so they're not existentially possible. You will have to give up reason or give up meaning in order to maintain those positions. So only some is eternal is his conclusion. And so these are basic questions about God. And so he does affirm that God exists, and we could know that. It's clear that God exists. And once we know about the existence of God, if God is the creator of human nature, we could know about human nature. So the basic things are about God, humans, and then good and evil for humans. So once we do metaphysics and we understand the nature of ultimate reality and we understand human nature, we can also know what is good for human beings. And so we get to ethics. And the unique contribution of this book is that Dr. Gangadin explores all of the major secular ethical theories, the non-secular ethical theories, and shows that they are not based on human nature. And the good for human beings, when it's not based on human nature, won't be clear. But he affirms that the good for humans is clear. It's rooted in human nature. It's easily knowable. And it's not only clear, but it's comprehensive. It includes all of life, all of life's choices, and it's critical. It's a matter of life and death, not just physical life and death, but spiritual life and death. So this book is very relevant insofar as it is going to talk about how human beings can satisfy our need for meaning. Human beings need meaning. We find the meaning in the good. And so the basic things are clear to reason, and the basic things are about God and man and good and evil. So we have epistemology, metaphysics, ethics. This book covers all kinds of objections that have been raised historically, that students have raised, that theologians have raised. So if you are a person who wants to know, who thinks we could know, if you're seeking to know, then you can know. And I have a couple other things I forgot I wanted to tell you is this book was originally written as a classroom textbook, and it was intended to go along with class lectures. But now that we don't have Mr. Gangadin, Dr. Gangadin as our professor, either you're going to have to read it on your own, which means you will need a seeking attitude and just the willingness to work through difficult ideas. Now, the good thing is the book comes with an outline and a glossary as tools to help the reader. But it's probably easier to have someone guide you through the book. So my intention is to do a video series that is sort of like a tutorial for the reader of this book, of Philosophical Foundation, the second edition. So you can use the first edition if you have it, because the content is the same. The page numbers will be different. But I hope that you will purchase the book, Philosophical Foundation, Critical Analysis of Basic Beliefs. Hey, I can show you where you can purchase it. Let's go over here. And oh yeah, here's a website where you could read about Dr. Gangadin. It's Surrendra.com, his first name. And you could read about him. And this was before he passed away, so it talks about him in the present. We probably need to update this website. But let's see. If you go to Public Philosophy Press, this is my publishing company that I started in 2018. We've been publishing a lot of good books. I will show you the catalog. Some of the books we've published are listed here, and there will be more really soon. Here's Dr. Gangadin's book, and you can click on order now. That will take you to the Amazon page, and we really want to get this book to #1 in new releases and #1 in philosophy. So help us out, purchase this book, and then I will walk you through a tutorial on my YouTube channel to help you understand the content. Otherwise, you can take a class at Logos College of Liberal Arts. My Philosophy 101 class is a good place to start. Once again, I'll leave the link below, and just hope that you will join me as we, embark on new adventures in philosophy and theology. So thank you for joining me, and I hope that you have a great day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.